The Last Guardian truly is a unique experience. When I saw the trailer when it was set to be a PS3 title, it looked different and interesting. But at the same time, I didn't know if this was going to be my cup of tea. Visually it looked great, and the relationship of the boy and the beast looked like if it was executed well, it could be a captivating friendship. But just as The Last Guardian captured our attention with its trailer, it seemed to go into hiding. Many were even wondering if this game was cancelled, but then it reappeared as a PS4 title with a release date. When The Last Guardian was released, I missed the opportunity to play it with everyone else. I still thought it looked interesting, but I wasn't so sure, so I decided to wait on it. One of my friends told me that this is a game that pet owners will really relate to and get the most out of. At the time, I didn't have a pet, so I didn't feel like I was the audience for it based on this information. As we say goodbye to the PS4 generation and look forward to the PS5, I want to take this time now to potentially cover games that passed me by during this generation, and focus on some exclusives that deserve more attention. And after being a proud puppy dad for 2 years, I thought it might be a good time to see what was so special about The Last Guardian. This isn't a game that is going to provide you with hours upon hours of content, but rather a focused experience that showcases an impressive lifelike AI, and how it captures your attention with how this boy and beast develop their companionship. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for The Last Guardian. At the heart of The Last Guardian is this bond and friendship between the boy and Treecko. At the start, the two of them find each other in a foreign land, and they do not know why they are there. With no other options available to them, the boy tries to help an injured Treecko and help nurse him back to health. The two try to speak to each other, but that doesn't work since they don't understand each other. They both must rely on other means of communication. I can only imagine the amount of work that was put into the AI for Treecko. As a dog owner, you can see the similar actions that Treecko takes and how real animals would do the same thing. Many, if not all, of Treecko's actions are probably scripted in one way or another. But how Treecko reacts to you and moves throughout the environments makes Treecko feel more lifelike than other AIs. There's small things like how Treecko will go and explore the area on his own, and he will get interested in different things like odd stuff in the environment. This is usually used to give the player some type of indication on what to do next. Sometimes Treecko will come and check on you and see what you are doing. Since you control the boy, a lot of the enjoyment in the game comes from the interactions with Treecko. Since Treecko feels lifelike and less like a game AI, the player both feels and understands the bond that is growing between these two characters. While the progression within the game is linear, it is satisfying when certain moments happen that you feel responsible for. Early on, you both need to cross a pool of water to escape a cave. As the boy, you jump into the water and can swim. Treecko looks at you, but does not follow. Treecko will creep up to the edge of the cliff to get as close as he can, but he does not want to commit to going into the water. As the boy, you know the water is safe and that Treecko will probably be fine, but you need to find a way to get him to take that leap and join you below. So you find some of the glowing barrels that he likes to eat and you throw them into the water. You use this as a means to convince Treecko to jump in. As expected, Treecko jumps into the water and eats the barrels. This whole situation was extremely relatable to me with my own dog. While being a water dog breed, he is not fond of the water. Whenever we are in pools, he will creep right up to the edge of the pool, but he never wants to just come in. We have used some of his favorite doggy treats to get him into the water. If I had played The Last Guardian prior to owning my dog, I don't think I would have gotten the same effect and appreciation out of this sequence. It also shows me how much care that the developers put into the detail of having Treecko act within this world. Getting Treecko to jump into the water is satisfying, but another situation later on is even more gratifying. Later on, you find a bit of water and Treecko starts bathing himself in it and playing in it. This was a really satisfying little moment where you feel responsible for him getting over his fear of water. I really enjoyed the other instances where Treecko is concerned for you. I was hanging from up high and Treecko was trying to move his head and body to help catch me if I fell. I didn't give Treecko these commands, but he did this all on his own. But just like there are many wholesome moments in owning a pet, there comes a test of patience and frustration. There are sometimes instances where Treecko will not listen to you and outright ignore you. This was also relatable as my dog is stubborn and sometimes will not listen to me. My point with these examples is to show how the AI for Treecko enhances the experience. The bond between the boy and Treecko is why this game works. I will get into the actual gameplay and other aspects of the game soon, and there are many frustrating aspects of the game, but at its core, this game is about experiencing this bond growing between these two characters. When one of them is in danger, you feel invested in the situation. To further this bond is how the player relies on Treecko. During situations where there are enemies trying to take you away, Treecko is your protector. He has the size and strength to make quick work of those enemies. There are situations where Treecko cannot follow you and you need to find your way to get him to join you. During those situations, there might be enemies that try and come after you, but once Treecko shows up again, there's this great sense of comfort when seeing him. Treecko relies on you as well. The boy can navigate the world differently, crawl into tight spaces, and provide Treecko with food. I do want to make the distinction that the use of Treecko and how lifelike he is feels genuine in its approach. The impressive use of Treecko is executed in a way that is relatable and not pretentious. It feels more like the developers were trying to present Treecko as lifelike rather than trying to show off. Plus, the use of Treecko is well integrated into the game and not used to emotionally manipulate the player. Like I said, at the core of this game is the bond, and as a pet owner, it is very relatable in how Treecko acts and reacts. The gameplay focuses its efforts on puzzle solving and platforming. As the boy, you can jump, climb, grab certain items, call for Treecko, and give him some general commands. The jumping is functional to frustrating in certain spots. The general controls do not feel as precise as you would want them. The puzzles can be pretty interesting to solve. For example, there is this one where Treecko was obsessed with the smell coming from a large pot. So you need to find a way to close the pot so that both of you could then proceed. The only way to do this is that you needed to be able to jump up to a position, but you couldn't get there because there wasn't anything to climb on. But if you move the pot to the next opening, Treecko will move to get closer to the pot, and now you can jump on Treecko and then go and close the pot. The puzzles feel more like natural situations that you come across rather than a puzzle room. Another example of this is how you needed to reach a certain location but could not climb up there. But if you had Treecko jump into the water, it would create a large wave, and then you could reach that spot. There are combat-like situations in the game, but most of them require you to avoid being captured and letting Treecko do all the heavy lifting. In some situations, you can point to locations on the screen and use Treecko's lightning tail to blow up objects or enemies. I did like how many of these combat encounters will cause Treecko to get overly stimulated, and then you need to pet him to calm him down. One aspect of the game that is really well done is how the game conveys the size and weight of Treecko. When he moves, he has this deliberate focus to him. Now that pretty much is the gist of the gameplay. There are many aspects of the game that are frustrating in this department. The big one that sticks out a lot is how the camera will get in your way and hinder your vision. The camera will get hung up on many things in the environment and it can cause a lot of frustration. Like I said before, the jumping is not easy to control and it can feel really imprecise. There are many situations where you will be in a room and have no idea where to go or what to do. This happened a lot to me throughout the game and can hurt the pacing and the enjoyment. There are a few situations where you need to find these barrels to feed Treecko, but this requires you to throw them. But since the controls are not precise, you will find yourself fighting the controls just to do simple actions. There were a few situations where I couldn't tell if Treecko was being stubborn and not listening to me, or the game was bugged. There was one spot where he wouldn't go down even though I was asking him to go there. But then I reloaded my save and it worked right away. Spots like this can leave you scratching your head. The actual gameplay moments can often bounce between being enjoyable moments with Treecko and frustration. What kept me engaged was the bond between the boy and Treecko. The lifelike reactions from the AI and this bond made the game worth seeing through and overcoming many of the frustrating aspects of the gameplay. I thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack as well. Each track is memorable and stays with you. Here are a few tracks from the game. The Last Guardian is a truly unique game. The heart of the game comes from the bond between the boy and Treecko. Watching their companionship develop and being an active participant in it makes this a special experience. The puzzles can be enjoyable to solve, but the game has many areas that could be improved, including the general controls and the camera. The lifelike AI of Treecko is a wonder in many areas. This feels like a big budget indie game with how it's trying to do something very different. While this game may be equal parts frustrating and enjoyable, this is an experience that I would recommend you give it a try. Thank you very much for watching.